6 years of love, security, and what I thought was the healthiest relationship of my life shattered. In minutes, when my husband's ex sat down, cried, and revealed he had lied, cheated, manipulated, abused, and escaped their relationship by running straight into mine, and now I'm scared of the man I sleep next to. I still remember that first day we met in person, like it's carved into my memory with a hot knife. After months of late-night calls, gaming sessions that stretched until sunrise, and the kind of flirting that filled the space between us even when we were silent, he finally made the trip to see me. Almost 8 months after that very first message I almost ignored forever, he showed up, nervous smile, fidgeting hands, completely real and completely mine. And honestly, it felt perfect. There was zero awkwardness. No first date jitters. No weird pauses. He looked just like his pictures, which shouldn't matter but absolutely does when you're meeting someone from the internet. He opened doors for me, listened to every word I said like it mattered, and wasn't glued to his phone once. Not a single glance except to check the time. I remember thinking, wow, this is what it feels like when someone is truly present with you. We didn't even take one picture that day, which feels like a cosmic joke now. At the time, though, it didn't matter. We were too busy actually living the moment to document it. But looking back now, retracing every step, the first cracks were already there. I just didn't see them. Before we ever met, during the early talking phase, I had asked him if he was seeing anyone. I wasn't. I was very straightforward about that. And he answered with this calm, casual, "No, I'm single. I just have an ex who won't give up even though we broke up a year ago." That sentence should have made something in me pause. But I was younger, softer, honestly too trusting for my own good. I didn't press it. I assumed he was telling the truth because, why wouldn't he? He seemed so sincere, so sure. And I wanted to believe him. God, I was so naive. What I also didn't question back then was the timing. The fact that we lived hours and hours apart. The fact that he didn't meet me until almost 8 months later. I rationalized everything. Long distance is hard, travel is expensive, life is complicated. And, honestly, when he finally did show up, when we spent the entire day together laughing and talking and just feeling so natural, it erased every doubt I might have had. It made the wait feel worth it. He kept saying how peaceful he felt around me, how he never had someone to game with like this, how our little virtual world together made him feel seen in ways he'd never experienced. And the stupid part is, I believed every word. I believed those messages, those late-night confessions whispered through a headset. I feel so happy playing with you. I love these moments with you. That's the thing about meeting someone through a game. You bond before you even touch. You fall for the voice, for the presence, for the way you move as a team. It felt intimate in its own strange way. When we officially became a couple about 3 months after his first message, it felt like the most natural thing in the world. Everything lined up in this storybook way. The shy guy who messaged me first, the girl who ignored him, the eventual reconnection that turned into something real. It felt romantic. And now, 6 years later, I'm sitting here questioning everything. Every word he said back then, every half-truth he packaged as honesty, every detail he conveniently left out. The memory of that first date, once something warm I held onto, now feels like a knife twist. It hurts because it was real for me. It really was. I wasn't faking anything. I wasn't hiding anything. I wasn't juggling past lovers or unfinished business. I didn't have an ex who wouldn't let go. I didn't have secrets tucked into the spaces between my sentences. I showed up for him, fully. And he showed up for me with what? A curated version of himself? A clean, edited story of his past? Something half-true dressed up as whole? I keep replaying that early stage in my mind, trying to understand how I missed the signs, or if there were any signs at all. Maybe there weren't. Maybe he really did look me in the eyes on that first date and mean every word he said. Maybe I wasn't the only one who felt that spark, that ease, that effortless connection. A few months after that perfect first meeting, everything between us moved forward in this almost cinematic way. It felt natural, easy, like we were following some invisible script written for two people who were meant to find each other. One day, during one of our usual late-night calls, he told me he wanted to take the next step. He said he was tired of counting weekends, tired of long drives, tired of goodbyes at bus stations. He said he wanted to wake up next to me every day. He wanted us to build a life together, not a half-life squeezed between visits. So when he asked if we could live together, I said yes. At that point, it had been about a year since he first messaged me. We had spent nearly every weekend together after our first date, and each one felt like a tiny homecoming. And honestly, it made sense. He spent so much money traveling back and forth just to see me, hours on the road, hotel rooms, transportation, meals, everything. It wasn't sustainable long term. And I wanted him there. I won't pretend otherwise. He moved in with me shortly after, and for a while, it really felt like I'd won the universe's lottery. He slipped into my life with a soft, reassuring presence. He worked remotely, so he was home a lot, and I had a morning job, so I'd leave early and be back by noon. He offered, completely unprompted, to cover the rent and help with bills. I told him multiple times that I didn't need help. I had been living in that house for nearly a decade and never once missed a payment. But he insisted. He said it made him feel like he was contributing, like we were a team, like we were building something together. So I let him. And he didn't just pay bills. He was hands-on in every part of daily life. If I texted him to defrost meat before I got home, he did it without hesitation. If I was too exhausted to cook, he'd stand in the kitchen and make something himself, or he'd order food because he didn't want me stressing. If something broke, plumbing, wiring, furniture, it didn't matter. He fixed it. He always said, "You've done everything alone for so long. Let me take care of you." And I let him because it felt good to finally not be the only one carrying everything. For years I looked at him and genuinely believed I had found the safest place in the world. Someone who anticipated my needs before I even said them out loud. Someone who treated me with consistency, with patience, with softness. There were nights I would catch myself watching him while he worked at his desk, thinking, this is it. This is my forever. 3 years into living together, he proposed. He gave me my dream proposal, the kind I used to imagine as a teenager but never believed would happen to me. It was just us at the beach. The sky looked like it had been painted in warm pastel colors, the waves quiet, the wind gentle. No audience, no cameras, no pressure. Just two people who had built a life so intertwined that saying yes felt like breathing. He got on one knee as the sun dipped toward the horizon, and I remember him looking up at me with those eyes I trusted for years, asking me to marry him. And everything in me screamed yes. Not because I felt obligated, not because the moment was perfect, but because I genuinely believed he was the person I was meant to spend my life with. And for a long time, he acted like he was meant for me too. He always knew I never wanted kids. I told him that at the very beginning, before we were even serious, because I didn't want to waste anyone's time. And he didn't hesitate. He accepted it immediately, wholeheartedly. He said, "I want you. Not a child. Not a lifestyle. You." And I believed him. I believed everything he said. Now, 6 years into what I thought was a stable, loving marriage, everything came crashing down in the most surreal, gut-wrenching way imaginable. I was out with my best friend, just a normal day, nothing dramatic, nothing suspicious. We were laughing, talking, living in that comfortable bubble you settle into when you think your life is finally steady. Then this girl walked up to us. At first, I didn't even pay attention. I thought she was going to ask for directions or something. But instead, she looked straight at me and asked, "Are you husband's name? As girlfriend?" I felt my stomach drop a little, that weird instinct your brain fires off before you even understand why. I told her, "No, I'm his wife." And the way her face crumbled, God, I'll never forget it. She started crying right there, in the middle of the sidewalk, like the word wife was a punch she wasn't prepared for. She asked if she could sit with us. My best friend and I exchanged that silent, sharp look. What the hell is happening? But we agreed. Something in her expression told me this wasn't some petty drama. This was something deeper, uglier. She sat down and began telling her story. She said that when she met him, he was perfect. Gentle, charming, attentive. The same man I had fallen in love with years later. But then he changed slowly, then drastically, into someone unrecognizable. Violent. Disrespectful. Cruel. She said they were together for 5 years before me. And that during the last 2 years, he turned into this unpredictable, aggressive version of himself. She told us she wanted to leave him so many times, but she was trapped. She lived with him in another state. She didn't know a single person there. She was a stay-at-home girlfriend, no job, no money, fully dependent on him. He made sure of that. And then, toward the end of their relationship, she noticed he was constantly on his phone and always playing games. She heard him talking in this flirty voice, playful, sweet, the voice I thought was just for me. She confronted him multiple times about cheating, but he always denied it, always flipped it back on her. And even though she knew deep down he wasn't loyal, she still loved him. Then she said the words that twisted my entire world inside out. He started disappearing every weekend. Every weekend. She knew he was seeing someone else. She just didn't know who. And that's when she started planning her escape. She began looking for opportunities to leave, to get out alive. She finally left when he asked if he could move in with me. That was the moment everything clicked for her. And for me, it felt like someone had grabbed my ribcage and ripped it open. She said she believed I had no idea. She never blamed me. She wasn't there to fight or to blame anyone except him. And honestly, that was the only reason I stayed seated, because she wasn't there to attack me. She was there because she found the courage to face the truth. I believed parts of her story immediately, because why would a stranger come up to me sobbing if she wasn't desperate to be heard? But then she showed me proof. Actual, undeniable proof. Screenshots, texts, photos, evidence of him insulting her, degrading her, being a vile, disgusting version of a man I never met. The language he used, I still can't reconcile it. It was like reading the messages of a completely different person. And then the final blow. We compared the phone number of the person who had texted her all those horrible things. It was his number. Not similar. Not close. His number. The same one saved in my phone. The same one he used to text me sweet messages while sending her absolute verbal brutality. I sat there staring at the screen, my hands shaking so hard I had to steady them on the table. It felt like the ground under me had turned to liquid. Like everything I knew, everything I trusted, was suddenly gone. Because in that moment, I realized the truth I never wanted to imagine. My husband had lived a double life. He wasn't just a liar, he was a monster to someone else. And the man I thought I married, maybe he never existed at all. Now, I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm standing in the middle of my own life and everything around me suddenly looks unfamiliar. He has never shown any sign of this. Not once. Not even a hint. I keep replaying every moment we've shared, every laugh, every soft gesture, every I love you, and I feel sick wondering if all of it, every single second, was just a facade, a performance, a version of himself he molded specifically for me. A part of me still wants to trust him. I hate admitting that, but it's true. There's this desperate part of me that wants to believe it's all fake, that she lied, that she exaggerated, that she misunderstood. Or that maybe he really did change with me. That maybe the man who cooks for me, cares for me, looks at me like I'm the only person in the room. That version is real. He has always been so gentle with kids, so patient with animals. I have watched him carry wounded animals off the street like they were newborns. I've seen him cry during emotional movies. I can't picture him raising a hand against a woman. I can't even picture him yelling. But then the proof she showed me pops into my mind like a punch to the chest. And I don't know how to reconcile these two versions of him. I don't know how to confront someone when half of me doesn't recognize him anymore. I know I'm supposed to confront him about all of this, but I'm scared. Not terrified, but cautious in a way I've never felt with him. The thought crosses my mind. What if he hits me? And that thought alone makes me feel like the version of him I knew is already gone. I don't want to bring someone else into this conversation. I hate exposing my private life to people close to me. I don't want my family or friends witnessing the collapse of my marriage in real time. But I also don't know if I'm safe confronting him alone. And then there's everything she told me. Details that keep replaying in my head whether I want them to or not. She said she always asked him when they would get married. He told her he didn't believe in marriage. Yet he proposed to me in the most romantic, thoughtful way possible. She said he wanted kids, when he knew from day one that I never did, and he accepted it without hesitation. She said she always had to beg him to help around the house. Meanwhile, with me, he volunteered. He made my life easier, without me ever asking. He did everything she wanted, but never for her. That part hurts in a way I didn't expect. It made her cry telling me that. She said I had everything she had begged him for, and she doesn't understand why he gave it all to me and none to her. And I don't understand it either. I want to believe there's another side to her story. Maybe she did do something. Maybe there was a reason things fell apart. Maybe she provoked him. Maybe she lied. Maybe she twisted things. None of that would justify violence, not even close, but my brain keeps reaching for something, anything, that explains why my husband looks like two different men in two different realities.